of the big economic puzzles of recent years is we've seen huge technological change, but it doesn't seem to be moving productivity. Productivity growth in a lot of the Western world is running at much slower levels than before the financial crisis. That really matters because in the long term, productivity growth is the key driver of GDP and therefore incomes. Lots of explanations for what's gone wrong. One explanation is that we're just not measuring productivity properly. Our measures of GDP are too old-fashioned. They're not capturing the gains from technological change. At the opposite end of the spectrum, there is an argument that we're just not inventing things which are having the same transforming effect that the great inventions of the 20th century, so things like electrification, antibiotics, the internal combustion engine had. So really very different views on this. Now, recently Geoffrey Frankel, who's a professor at Harvard, came along with a different perspective, a very interesting one, and observed that historically technology is disruptive. It has negative as well as positive effects, and he gave some interesting examples. Just think of the way in which new technologies have opened up new avenues for warfare and for criminality. Cyber warfare, phishing, malware, viruses, and we only have to think back to last year, the WannaCry attack, to see the devastating effect of these sort of new methods of criminality. But at a company level too, there are negative effects from introducing new systems, new software, new hardware. It takes time to get them up and running. It takes effort, and along the way there are glitches and there's a lot of distraction. That weighs on productivity. And of course, at an individual level, we all know that mobile telephony plus social media is very addictive and it's very distracting. In the US, on average, people spend about an hour a day on social media. For millennials, it's getting on for 2 hours a day. In the US, internet shopping peaks during the week between 2 and 6 in the afternoon, so during office hours. And it doesn't stop there. There's a lot of evidence that when we are taken away from a task by the kind of interruption that which the internet offers us lots, it's very hard to get back to the core task. The so-called attention residue means that we find it hard to get back to the principal job, up to 25 minutes sometimes to switch from the distraction back to the core job in hand. So this weighs on productivity too. So some interesting examples of the way in which technology and technological innovation actually weighs productivity, because none of this is new. If you think in recent decades of problems of obesity, of tobacco, of the degradation of the oceans, these things can be laid at the door of previous waves of innovation, previous ideas which delivered huge benefits but also imposed costs, and we've become acquainted with those costs over time. And I think the important idea here is that we tend to think of technological changes about a big invention, but the real magic is actually applying that invention, that innovation in the workplace, in our lives, and maximizing the benefits and minimizing the costs. And this is a complex relationship and it evolves, and of course over time our knowledge improves, and so some products like say asbestos, leaded petrol, we discover have significant negative effects, and we seek to curb them. And of course as societies become richer, they become less tolerant of the damage wrought by various forms of innovation or what might be called progress. So in the case of China, it first industrialized, it has now become very concerned about the effects of environmental degradation and pollution. So this is an age-old problem, and I think the good news is that the history of the last 200 years, which until recently has been a history of technological innovation, of change in the workplace has driven substantial growth in productivity and in income. So humans have been really quite good at getting the balance right between exploiting the benefits and minimizing the costs of technological change. I think the hope is, and certainly my view is, that we are going to see productivity growth pick up in the UK. It's very interesting that in the second half of 2017, the measured official productivity numbers showed an improvement in productivity. Very early days yet, but I think history offers ample reasons for being optimistic that technology will continue to drive growth as it has in the past.